streaming
and
now.
my main problem is Oh!
Pointed at me. Hi guys! So that's, you have to do a video, start like that. So we're going to print a book from square one. So first of all, we're going to start with our little... This is so Roger, especially for Roger, this is our little book binding device. We've got a few of them here. I made a few of them. So this one here, which is quite large, this is for A4 sized. This one here is for A5. So A5 is a much more useful size to make. There's one here that I made, which is actually it's A5 as well. So this one can be doubled to be a DL size. So we can actually print smaller things on that. But actually A5 turned out to be useful, so I can do two of those at once. But today we're going to print onto A4.
And the cost of one of these devices?
Cost was an amount of time, not much,
Genius.
$20, $30.
$30 a piece.
$30 maybe, yeah. So I went to Mitre. I watched a few videos on YouTube. I got an idea of how it might work. Assembled it in my brain. Went to Bunnings, bought some pieces. So I bought.
Oh, you made it.
Yeah.
Oh, you made it yourself.
I made this.
Good Lord.
So I bought a piece of wood that was this wide, and that would be. I'll tell you how wide it is. We'll measure it. Don't move the camera too fast. Move it. Just move it slowly. Let me do the moving. So that's 230 millimeters wide, and it's, it's a bit longer.
How not to make a YouTube video.
230 millimeters wide. So so we'll put it down here. So it's like on your piece of wood, we have some holes drilled in the back and a bolt type of thing, and a couple of little butterfly nuts like that. And there's a little thing here for our pieces of paper.
You used glued it, did you?
And I actually glued them down. With these ones, I was actually a little bit fancy. I thought I'd be like a craftsman like Roger, so I drilled some holes and I stuck some pieces of wood in there, like chopsticks, and I put them in there and I chiseled and whacked them off, glued everything in place, which is good until you need to take it apart, and then. So I also did the same there. So some, So there we go. So this is it. This is the DIY book binding machine device. So we're going to bind the book in this thing.
Fantastic. I want one myself now.
Yeah. So this is the printer, which is just a good old domestic grade photocopier. I shan't torture you with
readings,
hours and hours of printing. So we've printed this here, and we've, as you can see, we're not actually that economical in space. It's more.
Well, that's your particular style.
Yeah, that's more vertical than horizontal. If we print on A5, we're a little bit less wasteful, but we lose a bit on margins. But what I have done is I've pushed the text into the middle of the page, so I think I've given it 40 millimeter margins on either end, which means that when we turn it kind of moves it towards the center of the page. So with this, so what we need to do is we need to get all these pieces of paper sitting nicely together. So I've just printed these today, so when they come out the printer, they're hot. And so that when they're hot, they're all a little bit wrinkly. So actually, if we are going to print if we're going to bind them, it's actually better if they've cooled down a little bit.
Are these cool enough already?
We'll do them as they are, because we haven't really. So what I want to do is get these guys sitting together nicely. Also, another thing is that before I had the printer, I used to get the warehouse stationery to print things. And their standard print paper grade is 100 GSM, and it's actually more than you need. This is all 80 GSM, but
does that mean thinner?
So that means it's lighter. Yeah, thinner.
Lighter. Yeah.
But actually, 100 GSM is a lot easier to use. At this end of the proceedings.
Wow. Okay.
So we just want these guys to fit together nicely. So we'll do a little bit of a wiggle here. If you look and see me wiggling backwards and forwards.
Yes, the wiggling bottom.
A little bit of wiggle bottom going on there. And the other thing that we want to do with these guys is that we want to print them. We're actually going to glue the covers as part of the binding. So that the covers will go on the front and the back. So this is 210 GSM, which means it's board rather than paper.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we take a couple of bits of 210 GSM board. So that means that when this is bound and when we've glued along the spine, the front and back cover will be glued to will be an integral part of the text, or to the body of the book. So we just need to make a separate little spine, and it's a little bit easier. It's actually a little bit easier this way. So we get all our little things together, and we might do again trying to get them all to stand in a nice tidy pile is very hard. In fact, it's the hardest thing. So we take our little things like that. We do our little ends like that, which we think are kind of okay. So let's take that take the top cover off. I'm going to turn the camera to point this way. So this is the old
look at that.
goodies cupboard.
That's worth seeing.
Of our particular goodies that we're after is some Tarzan's grip.
Okay.
Tarzan's
is that a
grip.
paper glue or?
No, it's high strength glue.
Okay.
So again, go to Bunnings or Mitre 10 or
Is that better than super glue?
The king of strength.
Is it better than super glue?
Super glue comes in a tiny tube and it's made for this. This is like if you were building a house. This is what you hold it together with. We need to get the top bit off the thing there. The thing off the top of the bottle. Might need to poke something down to allow the glue's all sealed in there. So satay stick, there's nothing you can't fix with a satay stick. So get your satay stick and get your
some action.
Get your glue underway again. So we've got the glue and we'll have a spreader, do some spreading. So we've got a spreader there.
Yep.
Palette knife would do you. But the main thing is another palette knife. Main thing is at the end of the process you'll have to take the glue off it. So this is like a serious thing.
Spatula.
So so far so
We're
good.
over here.
So here we are on the assembly line. So what you need is your collection of bottles, of course. Yeah. So you'll probably need some kombucha bottles because they're the best. Good buzz kombucha bottles will do, even if they're different generation of design. And some of these bottles because they're nice as well. So we get our text like that, and we identify where the spine's going to be. So the spine is going to be down that side. Otherwise, we either have to turn it backwards or we have to cut the whole end off.
Did you follow that? I didn't. That's all right.
So,
yep.
There we go. So we put our paper in there. So put the cover in so that the front page is pointing the right way. Put the cover in there.
And it has to be that way, does it?
The cover doesn't matter, but
I mean
which side the glue's on does make quite a lot of difference. Have you ever bought the book and you have to open it backwards? And I think they usually sell them cheap because. So we want to just want to get this as nice as possible. We're actually sitting quite nicely in there. So we're going to put our finger on that. And we're going to screw these guys down to clamp the ends together like that. So if you get a good close up, so I'm going to hold my ruler against this. So what we want to do is look at how much the text or the paper is sticking above the edge of the little binding gizmo. And this one is 6 or 7 millimeters. No matter as long. The main thing is that you don't want to glue your books to the binder. And if you look here, you'll see that the text that we just printed is a bit curly along there. So if you print it on with 100 GSM paper, it'll be a bit less curly. So we are almost there. So we're going to put this down. We're going to lean it against our kombucha bottles like this, like that. Going to lean it against our bottle like that.
So Roger would have a clamp. He'd probably have something in his workshop.
Roger would have like a pro level clamp. So we get our Tarzan's grip. Smaller bottles is actually a little bit better if you don't use a lot of it. So now, if you watch here, now very close down. So what I'm going to do, if we're gonna trim the edges off, we don't want lots of glue here because it's hard to cut. So we're going to make a bead of glue, but the bead of glue we want to get all of the pages, the whole width. Yeah. So the first bead of glue like this actually is the one that really soaks into the paper better. So it's a little bit slow. You need to be, careful about it.
Rather like oiling a chain.
Yeah.
Best to be slow. You don't get too much excess oil.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've got to say, with this particular type of glue, and the excess is actually a little bit of a nuisance. So what we want to do is make sure that the bits. So doing it this way, the glue is evenly spread across the width of the stack of papers. Is probably a technical term for that. So there we go. Glue, 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 glue. So we want to go right to the end. So, yep. So this way, if we just did a line, we wouldn't be sure that we got the whole width of it done. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to fill in our little holes there.
Oh.
Because we're, just to be obsessive about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this way, we know that our book's not going to fall apart.
Okay, so it's important to get the whole.
No, it's probably not vital. I think the other bit on itself would do plenty, and doing it this way, you will have too much glue, so that you'll have to cut the glue off at the end of the process.
And you've left that bit at the end free of glue on purpose.
Sort of. So with these particular ones are really just being, this book, if we're going to call this a book, is really just as an archive thing, like a hard copy of the text. But if we were going to trim the book and make it slightly smaller, so if we started with a piece of A5, and if we wanted to turn it into a 5 by 8 inch book, then we would have to chop the ends off. And if you have to chop through lots of glue, then it's actually really hard. So there you go. So we've done glue all over the thing now.
Space there.
So we're going to put the lid back on the glue so the glue doesn't dry. It's nice to look after your glue and keep it in good shape.
This video will have to be watched at about 3.75 the speed.
So
I would recommend
now we
for
get
sanity.
the scraper. Do you want to just move over to the side and just onto that side? So we're just going to get the scraper. So we can. So just want to make sure that we've got even coverage there. So the main thing about this type of glue is that it works really well for holding your books together, but any leftover glue will foam up, and you'll need to cut it off the book at the end of the process. So I might give it a little bit more glue here, but I'll do these first.
So it's a pretty slow drying glue. There's no rush.
Slow dry. It'll be, normally give it a day or so, so it should be ready for the next stage of the process tomorrow. So if the cover wasn't being done now, then we could do the cover tomorrow. So just get a little bit of glue onto the end here, and the same onto that end. So there we go, we've got some glue on there. And so we have a thin covering of glue for the whole thing. And the other thing we want to make sure is that the pages on the ends actually do have glue holding them in together.
And there's none dribbling.
No.
Doesn't really matter.
Undesirable. Yeah, so you don't really want it scribbling. And we could just run it a little
Right.
knife along the edge like that, and that sort of thing. There we go. So there's a little bit of scribbling there. And that, good sir, is it.
What?
So that's it.
Oh, you haven't put a I thought you could.
It's bound.
Should we say goodbye?
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye bye.